Hey everyone, and welcome to my villainous book reading vlog. For a really long time now, I've been wanting to read books about villain characters and villain point of views in books. I've managed to find 4 books that fit this brief, and I wanted to take you along with me as I read all of them. So the TBR for this consists of How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. This is about a hero who has been attempting to stop the Dark Lord for ages now, but the problem is they've been stuck in a time loop, which means that every single time she nearly defeats him, time resets, and then she's got to gather the troops again, go through the fight again, and try and defeat him again, only for time to reset again, until one day she decides, bugger it, I'm going to join the Dark Lord instead. So this one I've heard amazing things about, and I've been really looking forward to reading it, so cannot wait to get started with this one. Next up is Dreadful. This one sees a young man wake up in a villain's lair with no memory of who he is or anything else, and it turns out he is actually the villain who owns this lair, and he's got to try and figure out what to do next. Again, I've heard amazing things about this one, so I've been curious about it for a while. Starter Villain sees a young man inherit his uncle's villain business, which includes the lair, the talking cats, and the villains, and he's got to decide what to do next. Again, I've heard amazing things about this book and John Scalzi in general. I've been meaning to read his books for a really long time now, so it's about time I did it, and this one feels like the perfect one to start with. Finally, also, there is Long Live Evil. This one sees a young woman obsessed with a book series, realise that she's slowly dying, and decides to go into her favourite book series and live out her time there. And she also decides while she's there, she's going to be saving the villains and helping them succeed in their evil plot. And again, I have heard incredible things about this book. It sounds right up my alley. I always love villain point of views, hence why I've got so many books like this that I have not read yet, admittedly, which is why I'm making this vlog. But I am just so excited to get started with all of these books, and the one I'm going to start with first is going to be Starter Villain. I'm 2 chapters in already, and there's been a Princess Bride reference, which will always win me over with a book, because our main character Charlie is walking around. He's just found a kitten, and it's the second kitten he's found just wandering about, and he's brought it home and it's sitting on his shoulder, and a woman has appeared at his porch and gone, like, why are you wearing that? And he's gone, well, they're tremendously comfortable. I imagine we're all going to be wearing them in the future. And that is a Princess Bride reference when Wesley is talking to, it's Inigo, if I remember rightly. It's been a while since I saw the movie. It's either Inigo or the Sicilian, which again, the name has escaped me. I'm going to watch that film again. If I've started forgetting details, I'm going to watch the film again. Anyway, he's talking to someone and he's talking about the mask, and he says that line. So just wanted to say, whenever there's a Princess Bride reference in a book, it will immediately win me over, and this is already kind of winning me over. I'm literally 19 pages in, which is 2 chapters, and I am already quite enjoying this book. It's really setting the scene up really well with this main character of Charlie. He's lost his dad. He's being almost forced out of his home. He doesn't really have any kind of like career prospects or anything else, and he's just found out on the news that his billionaire uncle, who he's estranged from, has died. And obviously we know where this is going to go, because obviously we've read I told you the synopsis for this, but I'm already intrigued. There's been a few moments that kind of made me laugh a little bit as well, which is always great. I know John Scalzi is meant to be very funny, and I am definitely getting that kind of vibe from this already. And yeah, I'm already really enjoying this book, so really excited to see where this is going to go next, I will say. Just really excited and a really good start. I've just realised that it's a couple of days later and I haven't updated you, but I have done a little bit of reading and a lot of writing, so that's good. Anyway, I'm now on to chapter 16 of Starter Villain, and I should also say as well, apologies if you can hear our dishwasher in the background, but anyway, I'm now on to chapter 16 of Starter Villain, and I am really liking this so far. I'm about halfway through, and I am really liking Charlie as a main character, and seeing him basically dumped into the deep end of basically inheriting his uncle's equals villain business. I'm really loving the satirical nature of this as well, because it's really poking holes in billionaires and how billionaires work and things like this. I think that is absolutely genius. The satire of this is kind of reminding me in a way of like Terry Pratchett satire, which I really like. The humour in this as well is actually very Pratchett-esque as well, in the sense that you've got these really weird fantastical things happening, but they are presented almost like they're completely normal in a way, which I really like. Like, don't get me wrong, there are moments where Charlie, our main character, is going, what do you mean we can communicate with the dolphins and the dolphins are about to go on strike? And what do you mean the cats can type and actually communicate with us in English via typing? What do you mean? So you still got these moments of being like, well, that is weird, but it's presented in such a way that it feels kind of almost normal to all of the other characters, which really reminds me of Terry Pratchett in a way. So I'm really liking that, and I'm really liking the storyline as well. I'm really liking discovering more about this company and what they do, and then all of these other companies and how it's all going to go and everything else. I am really liking this, and I would say I'm flying through this, but I am not, because I just haven't had time to fly through this. But if I had like a clear day, I definitely could have seen myself reading this in a day. It is so readable and really like compelling, and I'm just really enjoying myself. I'm hoping actually to finish this today so that I can move on to maybe How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, but we shall see. I am going out later today to go see the next Final Destination, which I'm really excited for. I'm a massive fan of the Final Destination series, and I've been waiting for this film to come out for ages now, so I'm really excited for that. So we'll see if I actually manage to finish this today. I am hoping so, but I don't know at the moment. I've got about 140 pages left and about 3 hours to do it in, so I may do it, because according to my Kindle this should take me just under 2 hours, so we'll see. Either way, basically rounding up this slightly rambly like roundup of what I've read so far, I am really enjoying it. I'm loving the satire this is giving on like billionaires and that kind of thing. I'm loving all of that. The humour is really reminding me of Terry Pratchett, and I am just generally really liking this one so far. So I've now just finished the main story in Starter Villain, and I really liked this one. I really loved the storyline of this one. I love that final twist at the end. I obviously won't say what it is in case you want to read this book for yourself, but I really love that and twist ending. I really love the satire of this one as well on billionaires and like how unethical billionaires are and all of this kind of thing. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I love the action of this one, and some of the lines genuinely made me snort with laughter. So that is always a good sign with books like this as well, and I just really liked this one. It was a fantastic start to this reading vlog. It was not what I was expecting, I will say, because I was expecting actual like traditional supervillains like I'm expecting to get in the other books I've got, but I still really like this one. It felt very sort of set in our world, because it genuinely was set in our world, but I did really love that. I really loved like all of it, to be honest. I genuinely really loved all of it. It was so creative and so fun. It really reminded me of Terry Pratchett as well, which is always a good thing in my mind. So yeah, that was a really good start. I've now got the short story that's at the end of this, and then I'm going to head out and go and watch Final Destination Bloodline. So I'll catch you up tomorrow when I start either How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying or Dreadful. I haven't decided which one yet, but I will decide in the morning, and I will catch you up when I've started. The next day I've come back from watching Final Destination, and it was fantastic. If you don't know what Final Destination is, and don't worry, I will only be talking about this briefly because I know this is a reading vlog, but Final Destination is essentially a series of movies that kind of work like slashers in a lot of ways, in the sense that at the start of every movie there is some kind of disaster. So for example, at one point a roller coaster comes to pieces, a whole bunch of logs on a logging truck end up coming off and causing a massive pile up on the middle of the motorway. You've also got like a bridge collapses, all of this kind of thing. There are various different disasters that happen, and out of our main characters, one of them will have a premonition about this, get their friends and a couple of others out of the way before the disaster happens, and then because they were meant to die in this disaster and they didn't, death then comes after them and then kills them brutally. And And I mean brutally. It's definitely not a series for everyone, I know. It's definitely for fans of things like Deadpool, The Boys, and maybe even slashers, because it does kind of work like a slasher in the sense that you've got this unstoppable force going after these people, and obviously there is a lot of brutal murder in it and stuff like this, so it's definitely not for everybody, but it is genuinely such a good time if you love those type of movies, and this one really worked for me. I will say it didn't beat 5, just in terms of like the storyline and the deaths, because I think 5 is like my favourite of the lot of them, but I did love this one as well. I love that it took a different take on the Final Destination story, where instead of it just being a group of friends, it's actually following a family. I thought that was really well done. I love that it kind of tied a lot of things together as well. I love that it also gave a really good storyline to Tony Todd as well, who is someone who appears in all of these movies, or at least most of them, and he's kind of like a guy who knows what's going on and kind of hints at what's going on to the people who are just in this situation themselves. So I really like that it gave an explanation in this movie as to how he knows, and giving him a little storyline as well, because usually he's a more of a mysterious character, so I like that they gave him more of a storyline in this one, and also gave him a really nice send-off in this, because Tony Todd is unfortunately no longer with us because he was severely ill while they were filming this movie. But I loved his scenes. I thought his scenes were fantastic. I loved the rest of it. I won't give away spoilers in case you do want to go see this movie, but what I will say is that I am now nervous to go anywhere near a hospital, because there were some moments in this one that, like, these movies make you paranoid anyway about absolutely everything, because like literally anything can go wrong and it can kill you in these movies, so it makes you paranoid anyway. But this one definitely has made me slightly wary of hospitals, and that is all I'll say, because if I say anything else I will spoil it. But it was genuinely a fantastic movie. I loved it. I cannot wait to see it again on Sunday. Outside of that, I've also managed to read the latest issue in Doctor Strange in Asgard by Derek Landy, because this just arrived this morning, and this was another fantastic one. I really enjoyed that this was focusing more on Stephen trying to sort out his magic and kind of attune it a little bit more to Asgard. I thought that was fantastic. It's left it on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to see where that's going to go. The artwork in here also looks like this, so it's a really lovely artwork in here, and it was a really good time, so I'm still really enjoying the series. I mean, I'm biased anyway because I'm a massive Derek Landy fan and a Doctor Strange fan, but this was really good fun, so I'm really glad that I read that this morning. And now what I'm going to do, once I get this back into its protective sleeve, there we go, is start How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, because I think this is my most anticipated book out of this entire TBR, because this one is focusing on a like trope that I do not see anywhere near enough, and that is the hero turning villainous, because this is about a main character who is the hero of the story. She's been trying to defeat the Dark Lord for ages, but the problem is that they have been stuck in a time loop, and every single time she very nearly gets there, time resets and they end up having to go back through it again. She's got to rally the troops again, get into the castle, try to defeat him, and then time loops again. And in this one she's decided, bugger it, I'm going to join him and finally sort of like stop this time loop essentially. And I love a story where a hero turns villainous. It doesn't happen often. Usually you see the villain turn heroic or just stay a villain the whole way through, but I love the idea of heroes turning villainous. It doesn't happen anywhere near enough, and this one sounds like it's going to give me at least a little bit of that. So I'm really excited to read this one, and I'm going to stop talking so I can actually get on with it. So very excited for this. This is definitely my most anticipated, so gonna get on with it. Cannot wait to start. I've literally only just opened this book up, and I am already thinking I'm gonna like the humour on this, because we've already got this map here that looks very hand drawn. It's on the side of a McDonald's napkin, which is definitely intriguing to me. But this one, it says on this bit here, it says the pond where I began the nightmare that is my life, red tooth territory full of angry orcs. You've also got the convocation, hopefully, and like a dragon going roar at the bottom here. And I think I'm going to like this, because already that kind of sense of humour of being like the nightmare that is my life already definitely intrigues me. I definitely like that kind of humour. And the fact that this seems... Give me a second. Anyway, as I was saying, that map immediately intrigues me, especially considering it's on the side of a McDonald's napkin. So I thought this was a fantasy, but we'll see how this goes, essentially. Very excited at the very least, and very intrigued just from the map alone. Also, helpfully, there is a content warning at the beginning of this. Thanks to her unique and fantastic circumstances, Davy speaks casually of self-harm and suicide. In real life, however, there are no time loops and no healing spells. If you struggle with these thoughts of this nature, visit this website to help find help in your area. This book also contains frank discussions of sexual assault, though no characters are assaulted. So, very likely that there's actually a content warning in here. We don't usually get that much, but I'm very grateful that they do also have that in here as well, because obviously that is very important for anybody who struggles with these things, and it's good to have that kind of warning. So just wanted to point that out as well quickly. I'm currently 17 pages in and I am already loving this. The humour in this is absolutely on point. There is also actually little footnotes at the bottom as well, which is very Terry Pratchett, or at least I know like footnotes from Terry Pratchett. And actually the humour's kind of reminding me of that as well, especially with the 11th footnote, because it says, let's get this out of the way. Language here doesn't make any effing sense. The humans have one language, which I of course think of as common, though like the kingdom, it doesn't really have a name. The wilders all speak a single language too, even though there are like zillions of them spread out across probably the whole planet. While the structural linguists are trying to get a handle on that, you can add the fact that as far back as I can remember, I've been able to speak common. It sounds like English to me unless I really concentrate on the sounds. Wilder I learned the hard way, but I've had 1,000 years to practice. Makes no sense, it has to be magic. I gave up trying to figure out how it works 100 lifetimes ago. The thing about fantasy world is that a wizard did it is a perfectly valid explanation, and I love that so much. It's definitely sort of Pratchett-esque in that kind of humour in terms of like the footnotes and everything else. I'm really intrigued by this world because we're following Davy, who has woken up thousands of years ago in this fantasy world. She was in our world, she's now in this fantasy world, and she is basically the chosen one, and every single time she is met by an old wizard who gives her the big speech like, oh yeah, you are the prophesied one, you're going to help us stop the Dark Lord from taking over, all of this kind of thing. And she has done this thousands of times. She has literally lost count of the amount of times she's died and gone through this loop. She doesn't know how old she is. She cannot remember much about being on Earth anymore because it's been so long since she was on Earth, and she is done, and she has decided, screw humanity, screw trying to help them and everything else. I'm going to become the Dark Lord, because the Dark Lord is never the same one in all of these time loops and everything else. So I'm going to become the Dark Lord, and I am going to rule this place and basically die and get out of this mess. And I am really liking this so far, because again, it is the hero turning bad guy, and the humour and everything else is just working for me so well. I'm only 17 pages in, but like I said, I am loving this so far. It is brilliant. I'm currently 200 pages into this book and I am absolutely adoring it. It is exactly what I wanted from this book in terms of it being about a good guy who has had enough of being the good guy and has decided to go on the bad side. And reading about Davy trying to become the Dark Lord and gathering this horde and going through the rest of this kingdom to get to the convocation where she can become the Dark Lord is so much fun. I am loving all of her like sarcastic moments throughout here, and all of her moments of just like hilarious commentary. There's a moment where she discovers that a stronghold has got a lava moat, and she's like, I want a lava moat, and things like this, which I absolutely love. I'm loving the references to things like Star Wars and like Our World. I am loving all of that because our main character is from Our World. She suddenly woke up in this kingdom basically thousands of years ago. She's got no idea how she got there or anything else. She just knows that she is stuck there, and I am loving this. It is reminding me a lot actually of I Hate Fairyland, which is one of my favourite comics of all time, which is about a young girl who has been stuck in Fairyland for the last 30 years and she's now essentially trying to kill her way out because she's got no other options at this point. And it kind of reminds me of this because our main character has killed quite a few people at this point, just to like make them stop trying to take her to the kingdom and things like this so she can go her own route, or killing people to get what she wants and things like this. And she's very much like a very similar character in the sense that she is desperate for things to go differently even though she is stuck here, and I am just really loving that. It is definitely something where I can say if you love I Hate Fairyland you're going to love this, or if you love this you will love I Hate Fairyland. I will say though that this is definitely not going to be for everybody because there is a lot of blood in here, there's descriptions of torture in here, there is also obviously murder, there is also a lot of mentions of sex. It is very much fade to black, but you definitely know what's going on, I will say. So there is a lot of sex in here, there's also a lot of swearing and things like this, so I know it will not be for everybody, but I am absolutely loving this book. I am currently nearly 200 pages in, so I'm about this far in at the moment, and when I say that I am almost certain that this is going to be in my top 5 books of the year, I am not kidding, because this is so much fun. I am loving every single moment of reading it. It is genius and it is just so good. It is so good. I've got nothing else or no other way to describe this. It is just so much fun. I am loving this. The footnotes on this are so funny. So what's going on at the moment is that Darby is going to be taking out a bunch of bandits for another ruler of this land that they're passing through, so then they can actually pass through the land. And she's just found out some bad news about where they're going. And the guy who's told her is a little bit nervous. And the footnote says, I guess the traditional Dark Lord response to bad news is to strangle the messenger in a rage. But this has never made sense to me. It's not like you're accomplishing anything except encouraging people to lie to you and create a hostile work environment. And to me that just screams Discworld. Like, this is not like Discworld in most ways. It is far more violent and everything else, but the little like bits like that just remind me so much of Discworld and like Terry Pratchett in general, and that sarcasm and wit is just so good all the way through this. I am loving all of the footnotes and everything else. They are always so good and so on point. Like I keep on saying, this book is incredible. I highly recommend this one. I'm not even finished yet. I've still got like this much to go, and that's like another 180 odd pages, but I am so loving this. I am adoring this one so much. It's now Tuesday and I haven't actually vlogged anything in a few days, but I have finished How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. And this book, quite frankly, is going to be one of the best books of the year. I am not kidding. This was incredible. The humour of this book just works so well for me. It felt so much like a Terry Pratchett book in that sense, with the sarcasm and the stuff that it came out with. It was just so Pratchett-esque, which I absolutely adored. I also love the storyline of this. I love the world of this one as well. I thought the world was fantastic. I loved everything to do with the Wilders and the Thermite and things like this. I thought that was all done brilliantly. I loved our main character and all of the characters, to be honest, but Darby really worked for me as a main character. I loved her so much. I loved how like silly she was while also being very determined to do what she wanted to do. All of this kind of thing. I thought she was fantastic. I loved everything to do with all of her other characters as well. I also loved that our main character was bisexual as well, and that was very much on-page representation. I thought that was done fantastically, and I just loved this book so much. It is definitely a 5-star read. It is definitely going to be in my top 5 books of the year because it was so much fun to read, and because of that cliffhanger ending, I am now desperate for the next book, but I do not have the next book because I don't think it's out yet, which means I'm going to have to go and read something else for a bit instead. And what I've decided to read next is Long Live Evil, which is on a very sort of similar idea to this book, only this time it is about a woman in our world who realises that she's very ill and manages to go go into her favourite book series and decides she's going to help the villains win. So, very excited about this one. I've heard amazing things about it. I've been desperate to read it for a while now, and now is the time to do that for this vlog. So, I'm going to get started reading it and obviously telling you what I think about it. So, yeah, very excited to carry on, but this book I think is going to be my favourite of the vlog and also one of my favourites of the year because it was incredible, and I'm really hoping that Long Live Evil is also going to live up to that, so we shall see. So I'm currently, I think it is 38 pages in, which is onto chapter 4, and I am already really liking this one. So we've, I'm just going to say right now, heavy trigger warning for the first chapter at the very least, which is focusing on our main character of Ray, who is dealing with cancer, and it looks like it's going to be terminal. So there's a lot of talk of the effects of cancer and chemo and things like that, so definitely be warned about all of that if you are going to read this book. But essentially in that chapter, she is visited by this very strange woman who says, what if basically you could go into this book series, and if you do and you become a character in this book series, if you find this specific flower and don't die before then, you can carry on living essentially. And so she doesn't believe them at first, but ends up going through the door anyway. As they say, you've got to go through this door to get into the world, but she goes through the door anyway in that sort of, oh yeah, I'm going to go get the nurse kind of thing, and is woken up in this book series in the body of the wicked stepsister of one of the main characters, and is now basically gone, right, okay, this character's going to be executed in the morning, I'm going to go full villainous, get out of here, find that flower, and basically see what happens from there, because like, what else can she do at this point? So, very intrigued so far. I do like all of the conversations this had around villains and villainy, and how villains can be, quite frankly, more interesting than the hero. I definitely find that in a few cases where I have preferred the villain. Just for example, I'm just going to say it, Thor with Loki. I prefer Loki over Thor. Don't get me wrong, I love Thor, but I also love Loki. Out of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I go for the Winter Soldier because of course I do. You know, like, don't get me wrong, I don't, like, side with Thanos or anything else. I'm definitely not someone who prefers Thanos over the Avengers, but quite often I will go for the villain over the hero just for, like, funsies, because I love their character more. And I mean, this whole reading vlog was literally inspired by the fact that I am currently obsessed with the Thunderbolts. I'm literally wearing my Thunderbolts t-shirt right now. I'm literally seeing the movie for the 6th time tonight because I am so obsessed with it. I love these kind of morally grey characters, whether they're doing something heroic like the Thunderbolts or going villainous like they are in this book, and also How to Become the Dark Lord. So I'm all over this kind of thing, and I definitely agree with Ray, the main character, saying that sometimes the villains are just more fun. And also with this book as well, you're finding out about this world, and you're finding out more about what happens in this book series and stuff, and it sounds like the hero, like the main male hero, becomes the emperor, and then basically goes a bit villainous and basically cuts down anybody in his way and things like this, which just immediately intrigues me. And now I want to read the actual book series that this is like set within, because it's just really intrigued me. So obviously that can't happen, but I'm really liking the little sort of paragraph snippets we're getting of the actual book and the little bits we're getting from the book, because it sounds very, very interesting, and definitely something that I would have been really, like, interested in reading myself. It's now the next day. Apologies if you can hear the dishwasher going, but anyway, I think I've just discovered a Loki reference in this book, because they've gone off to go see a character called the Golden Cobra, and our main character of Ray as Lady Rahila has gone, I am Lady Rahila Demisha, apologies if I mispronounced that, and I am burdened with glorious prophecy. And obviously I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. So very, very similar wording there. Definitely a reference to Loki, I think, and it's especially good because I'm literally wearing my Loki t-shirt today, or one of my Loki t-shirts anyway. I have a lot of them. I love the character. And yeah, overall I am really enjoying this one still. I'm only on page 77, which means I'm about 18% of the way through, but I am really liking this one still. I'm liking how Ray has gone, right, we're definitely doing this, we're going to be villainous, and I'm going to get that flower, and I'm going to wake up in the real world again, and everything else, and I'm going to be fine again. And I'm really liking that she's really embracing her villainy, but then also Amir and Key, who are her two two minions are also very much evil characters themselves, because we've got a few moments from Emir's point of view, and she's going to become like an axe murderer later apparently, and she's very much like looking out for herself and is very, very morally grey. We've also seen her interact with Key and see more from Key, who is a flat out murderer, to be honest, and again completely out for himself. And I'm really just generally liking how everybody is completely out for themselves in this. I love that kind of character archetype, so I'm really, really liking this so far. Key is my kind of character because he is very much someone who's got a dark backstory. We don't know what it is properly, but we know that he is like very morally grey, very much out for himself, and he's just saved everyone from a bunch of ghouls. And he's just saved Leah, who's like the heroine of the actual book that they are in. And he's like holding her, and she's just done the whole thank you thing, and then he's dropped her. And she's gone, hey! And he's gone, I need my hands free for stabbing, learn to walk. And I'm like, that is my kind of character, I won't lie, like, that is my kind of character to a T. So I'm really liking Key. I won't lie, Key may be one of my favourites. I'm also loving how much Ray is very much like, yeah, I guess I'll die a selfish bitch. You know, she is like completely and utterly, like, she doesn't care. She will be selfish. She doesn't care about being selfish. She doesn't care, like, she doesn't want to be like selfless or anything else. She wants to get the revenge. She wants to be the villain, and she wants to live. And that is, I love that about her so much. I am so much like in love with characters like that as well, who are just so like, I am not going to be dealing with being like the nice person or anything else. I will be the villain. I do not care what you think about me. That is some of my favourite character archetypes ever, so I'm really loving that about Ray. And I am also really loving just Key as a character. Key is just fantastic. I love him. I won't lie, I really love him. Him and Ray and Emma. I like Emma. I will say I do like Emma as well, but I don't know Emma as well at this moment. Or I do, but I feel like she's growing on me more and more and more as well. And I also really like the Cobra. I really like the Cobra as well. I won't go into anything about his like storyline, because that'll be spoilers, and I don't want to give spoilers away that much about key plot details or anything, in case you want to read this book yourself. But I am really liking the characters in here. I am liking the archetypes they're fulfilling and their backstories and everything else. I'm just really, really liking this so far. I'm still reading at the moment, and I've just grown a second head on my face, so we're just going to ignore that's there at the moment. But anyway, I am now nearly halfway through, and I am still really, really liking this one. I'm really liking how Ray as a character is constantly choosing to be villainous, and sort of looking at all of the other characters around her and being like talking about how a lot of them have villainous actions and things like this. I'm really loving all of that, and how she's trying to keep the story going exactly how it should be, but things keep on messing up in little places and stuff like this. I'm really liking all of that. But what I will say at the moment is that right now it is the 22nd of May, and that means that it has been a month since the Thunderbolts premiere. And I'm feeling just a little bit sad, because it's been a month since one of the greatest nights of my life, and actually that whole movie is why I'm making this vlog, because Thunderbolts as a team are a bunch of morally grey characters who used to be villainous for half of them through no fault of their own, and now they're trying to do better. And I wanted, after watching that movie, I just wanted to read books about villainous characters, whether that be people who are thrust into villainy reluctantly, or if they choose to be villainous. And I've just wanted to read stuff like that for a while now, and after watching Thunderbolts, where it was villainous characters trying to do better, I wanted still more of that villainous vibe, essentially, a more morally grey vibe. So that's what inspired this entire vlog anyway, and I'm just kind of missing that night, to be honest, because it was genuinely one of the greatest nights of my life, and I can't believe it was already a month ago, to be honest. I genuinely cannot believe that it's already been a month since that happened, because, and I know I talk about this a lot on this channel, and I will forever talk about that night on this channel and everywhere else for any amount of time I can possibly get away with, but it was genuinely one of the greatest nights of my life, and I cannot believe it's already been a month since it happened, because in my head it was last week, while also simultaneously being 3 years ago, because time is weird and wibbly wobbly timey wimey. But I I love that premiere and I love that movie, and I'm really sad that it's leaving cinemas now. I saw it on Tuesday. It's now Thursday, and I'm already missing it and practically counting down the days till it comes out on DVD so I can watch it again, because it just really, really worked for me as a movie. And I just really love morally grey characters and villainous characters who are trying to do better, or characters who were forced into villainy, I should say, in terms of like Bucky and Yelena and Ava to some extent. They were forced into villainy, and seeing them try to do better, even though they are still very kind of morally grey characters in places, and seeing characters like that just bring me great amount of joy, to be honest. I always love the villainous characters and stuff, and or like the forced into villainy or the morally grey ones. Those are the types of characters I always love the most. And yeah, that movie just spoke to me, and these books are speaking to me, quite frankly, in a lot of ways as well, because I'm loving just the way that they are all talking about villainy. I mean, with How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, I loved how our main character Darby completely and utterly embraced being a villain and loving every single minute of being a villain, and being like, no, I'm not going to be like a full out villain, I'm not going to be like rude to my minions or anything else, I'm going to be nice to them, I'm going to not be a villain and Dark Lord who just murders wantonly and things like that. I love that about this one. Whereas in this book, Ray is kind of viewing people as not quite real because they're in a story. And so she's kind of not viewing them as real. Kind of like what Darby did at the beginning of this book as well. But sort of seeing them sort of embrace that villainy is so much fun. I really, really love it. And I really wish that there were more books like this out there where we were dealing with the villains and the people embracing villainy after a lifetime of being good or trying to be good, and finally going, bugger it, I am going to be evil. And I am really loving that in this book. I just love villains, essentially. I'm just rambling at the moment because I missed Thunderbolts and I just wanted to talk about it, and then I just get really sad and start wanting to talk about villains again. But genuinely, I love villains so much. They just bring me so much joy, and this vlog is really bringing me a lot amount of joy. I'm currently really stressed because, for context, I'm currently trying to write a book and I'm trying to get it done before the end of the month, and it is slowly trying to kill me, to be honest. I am literally about 29,000 words in at the moment. I need it to reach at least 40 if I remember rightly, and the stress is killing me, I won't lie. But I'm just enjoying, in between writing that, reading these books and embracing the villainy and sort of seeing all of these villainous things happen and characters embracing that villainy and all the rest of it. I'm just really liking that. It's a really nice break in between the stress of writing, I won't lie. It is so much fun to read this. It's now Monday and I filmed nothing over the weekend once again, but I did manage to finish Long Live Evil, and I really liked this one. I liked the exploration of villainy throughout this book and how it explored how basically no one in this book was altogether good. A lot of them were morally grey to evil, and a lot of them were just trying to survive and doing whatever they could to survive in this world. I thought that was done absolutely brilliantly. I love the storyline of this one. I loved exploring being inside this book world and how the changes were like messing things up. I really love that. I love seeing Ray trying to survive in this world and learning how to deal with this world and things like this. I thought that was all done brilliantly. I definitely want to read the original book, I won't lie, because I'm very intrigued by the original book, like that this book is set within, I guess you could call it. I really want to explore that because that just sounds really good fun and like a really good book series, so I really want to check that out, I won't lie. I will say I did guess the plot twist of this one quite early on, but I don't mind doing that. It makes me feel cleverer than I actually am, so I've got absolutely no problem with that. I did really like the plot twist itself. I thought it was done very cleverly. I also really loved the characters of this one, especially Ray, the Cobra and Key. I thought they were all done brilliantly as characters. Everyone was done brilliantly in this book, but I will say those three were my standout characters. I really loved them, and I just generally really like this one, and I am definitely going to be reading the second book when it comes out. But speaking of sequels, one thing I did not realise was that the sequel to How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying is actually out this week at time of filming on the 27th of May. So what I'm going to be doing is extending this vlog a little bit further, which is going to delay it. I apologise right now for the delay in this. I did want this out in May, but it's clearly going to have to come out in June, but that's absolutely fine. Just because I figured I may as well finish out the duology because I enjoyed this one so much and I'm desperate to see how it finishes. I'm still making this vlog, so I may as well continue on and put that book also into this vlog. So that is what I'm going to be doing, but right now it is not out yet, so I'm going to be reading Dreadful by Caitlin Rosakis in the meantime. And this one is following a guy who essentially wakes up with absolutely no memory inside this villain lair, and he's got no idea how he got there, who he is or anything else, and it turns out he is actually the owner of this villain lair, and he is actually the villain, and he's got to figure out what to do next. This one I'm really excited for. I've heard amazing things about it. And I've been meaning to read it for a while now, like I have with all of these books, so really excited to give it a go, and so that is what I'm going to be starting today, so I'm going to get on with it. I'm currently only 2 chapters in and I'm already really enjoying this one. This one is all about a guy who wakes up with absolutely no memory of who he is, like I said, in this dark wizard's castle, and he realises that he is actually the dark wizard. But what's worse is that he's got no memory of who anybody is in this castle. He can't remember his own name, he can't remember anything, and also there is a kidnapped princess in his castle that he is basically kidnapped for a larger plan that he is enacting with a whole load of other people, and he's got no idea what that plan is, who these people are, or anything else. So he's decided, because these other people are quite evil, and he's like, I don't really want to die here, I'm going to try and pretend to be this dark wizard and carry on like nothing else has happened, and that everything is fine, to try and basically survive and figure out what he's going to do next. And I am really liking that about this book. I'm really loving that premise. It's a very interesting and different take on the villain trope that I'm really liking, but I'm also liking that this is starting to feel not exactly satirical, but it's kind of starting to look at fantasy tropes and sort of like mock them a little bit, in the sense that you've got, he's wandering around his castle and it's filled with like these really dark candles that barely have any light in there. He's in this big robe, everything is like really like tacky in terms of the furniture and stuff like this. Is like that very classic villain tacky look, and he's constantly going, this looks really bad, and all of this kind of thing, and he's like, it's really ugly furniture and all of this kind of thing. I'm really liking that. I'm liking as well that he's got these goblins who are like his minions, and they're very scared of him, and he's like, what, like, why do I keep on fireballing these people, and they look like really filthy, like they haven't had like washed their clothes or anything else in a while. So he's starting getting them to wash their clothes, and he's starting to say like, look, you can start wearing clothes that you own that you generally aren't allowed to wear, as long as you're only in like the kitchens wearing them and things like this. So he's starting to like go, this, like, the guy I wasn't treating people very well, and he's starting to try and change that already in the first 2 chapters, and I'm really liking how he's sort of looking at the world and being like, this isn't quite right, and things like this. I'm really liking that so far, and I think from the like reviews, it's supposed to have a lot of like those fantasy tropes and poking fun at them and things like this, so definitely excited to see where that's gonna go. It's been several days and I've been a terrible vlogger, but essentially I haven't read that much more. I have read up to page 134, so I've read nearly half of it, I think, at the moment, but I am really liking this one. I'm really liking how this is sort of looking at someone who doesn't remember being evil or being this dark wizard, and sort of seeing him go, no, I'm not going to be as evil as everybody expects me to be. I'm going to try and be like nicer to the workers, nicer to the princess that I am keeping for whatever reason it is, and we're going to try and work together, this kind of thing. And I'm really liking that kind of angle on it, where he's not trying to be evil, but you also see those evil moments come in because he's just dealt with someone who has been sent to try and rescue the princess. And he's been quite sort of evil to him. I won't say what happens or anything in case you want to read this, but I did really like that you are still seeing those flashes of him being this dark wizard while he's also trying to be a better guy and things like this. I think that is very interesting and very fun. It's also looked at a little bit about the way he's dressing as well, because he's in these really big dramatic cloaks, like cloaks and everything else, and then seeing him in something else and seeing how people treat him when he's in more normal clothes compared to that is all very interesting and very fun. and I am really liking this one so far. I'm, like I said, not quite halfway yet, but I am really liking this. And actually what I will say as well is that this just arrived, and it is Everyone Wants to Rule the World Except Me by Django Wexler, and it is the sequel to How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, and I'm so excited this has actually arrived. I cannot believe how well I timed reading that first book. Like, it was completely and utterly unintentional. I had no idea that this was coming out on the 27th of May, and I read the first book the week before. Literally, I had no plans on doing that. It just kind of happened in a really amazing stroke of luck. So very excited to finally have this one. This is probably going to be my first read of June, and the obviously last one for this vlog, and I'm really excited to do that. And also, I just want to very quickly say, can we just appreciate my earrings? I've got little chainsaws on my earrings at the moment because they were actually a present from my mum, because she went to a garden show the other day and they had these earrings there, and she was like, ah, Heather's reference, and got them for me, because there is a very famous line in Heather's where Heather Chandler turns around to Veronica and goes, well, F me gently with a chainsaw, and it's such a good line. It's literally actually currently on my t-shirt as well, because I matched, because I love doing that. But yeah, she saw it as a Heather's reference. It was probably more like these were made for gardeners who like chainsaws and using chainsaws in their gardens for like tree chopping and stuff, but we saw Heather's reference. So I have these earrings now, and I am absolutely in love with them. I think they're brilliant, and definitely going to be wearing them the next time I see Heather's, whenever that shall be. If you don't know what Heather's is, it's a fantastic musical about three girls called Heather, who are essentially the mean girls, like from the movie Mean Girls, but there's murder. That's the way I describe it. It's Mean Girls, but with more murder, and I love it so much. Everyone in that, again, is very morally grey to evil in that story, and again, it's all villainous and morally grey type characters. It's why I love it so much. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly point that out, because Heather's villain vlog, talking about villains, this kind of thing. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now and actually get on with reading this, otherwise I'm not going to finish it in time, so I'm going to carry on reading now. It's now Friday, which is my favourite day of the week because it's Pyjama Day Friday. I am literally, I don't know if I can show you, there we go, wearing Jack and Sally pyjamas at the moment, because why not? Every day is Halloween in my head, and I've got about 110 pages left of Dreadful to read, and I am really hoping to finish it today, because tomorrow is the end of May, and I do not like basically sort of carrying books over the course of like 2 months. It messes up my tracking and everything else, and I just don't like doing it. So I really want to finish this today, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to finish my audiobook, which is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. So fingers crossed I'm going to be able to do that. But anyway, at the moment I'm focusing on finishing this, and like I said, I've got 110 pages left, and I'm really liking this book. One of the things I'm liking the most is seeing it sort of explore all of these different like tropes that you usually see within villainous type characters and things, and turning them on their head. I really like what Caitlin Rosakis did with Gavrax's basically right-hand man. I really like what she did with him. I won't go into details in case you want to read this for yourself, but I do really like what she did with him, and how she kind of took that sort of snivelling, slimy right-hand man trope and sort of really twist it. I really like that. And what I also really like is how she's written Venevla. I apologise if I've mispronounced that. I'm dyslexic, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, but the female dark wizard in here, because her as a dark wizard appears as this very sort of like sensual, very sexily dressed woman and things like this, and she's using that to basically manipulate the men around her. And I really like how they're doing that, because they've had a conversation where Venevla and Gav, our main character, have had a chat about this, and how basically she's using men's perceptions of her to kind of manipulate them in her own way, because she's using that perceived idea that she has basically slept her way to the top to sort of get what she wants and things like this. She hasn't actually done that. She's actually a very competent dark wizard herself, but she's using that kind of perception of her to get exactly what she wants and to manipulate the people around her, which I think is really, really interesting. I really like that as a conversation. I wish that we'd maybe, like, I wish that we get maybe a book from her point of view as well, just to see that how that plays out and things, because I think that'd be a really fascinating book to read. But I'm really happy with what we got in this one alone, and I'm just generally really, really liking this one. I am loving how it's playing with all of those tropes that we know and love and all of this kind of thing, and I'm really excited to see how this is going to end. And also I should mention as well, I love what Caitlin Rosakis has done with the main princess in here, because there is obviously a kidnapped princess, and how it is talking about like beauty standards and how princesses are always seen to be like beautiful and they have to be beautiful beyond compare and all of the rest of it. I'm really liking how that is done in this book as well. I think that is done very, very well, and I'm really liking that element of it as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this is going to end. Obviously, I've got this much left, which I'm hoping to finish today. And I will obviously update you when I have finished it, or when something else interesting happens that I need to talk to you about. I've read a few more pages, but I just want to quickly talk about this because this just arrived, and it is the Thunderbolts bag tag that they had at certain cinemas in the UK, and I could not get hold of these in my cinema because it was only available in IMAXs, and I do not have an IMAX near me. But I was desperate for some Thunderbolts merch because my cinema did basically just the popcorn buckets, and that was it. I've got no need for a popcorn bucket. I don't even eat popcorn. So I went on Vinted and had a look, and someone was selling the Thunderbolts bag tag, and I am absolutely in love with it. It is absolutely gorgeous. I've got no idea which bag I'm putting it on, but I've got it now. I may actually use it as a bookmark. It's bookmark shaped as well, so I may end up using it as a bookmark. But so I've got this now, but I've also got the cereal box coming as well, because they were also giving away the like flat cereal boxes to build yourself, and I also wanted one of those really, really badly because I love the cereal box design, and that is also coming as well. So I'll hopefully have that before the end of the vlog and build it so you can see it in its glory when it arrives, essentially. But I am so happy with this bag tag. I am so happy with it, and I may end up using it as a bookmark, I won't lie. It's now Sunday the 1st of June, and I will go back to talking about books in a minute, but I'm a little bit sad today because Shooty Gatwa regenerated last night, and I'm not going to say that that's a spoiler because this video is going up weeks later than I planned, and it's probably not going to be going up until like mid-June, so by that point everyone's going to know and have seen it. But he regenerated last night, and I am very much not okay. I am a massive Whovian, for context. I am a huge Whovian, and I have been since 2007, I think it was, and I never do well with regenerations. I have never done well with a regeneration. I always cry my eyes out. I always end up really sad afterwards. Especially 10. I was a mess for like a week after 10, I won't lie. And Shooty left last night, and there was no kind of warning. There was rumours. Obviously there was a lot of rumours, but I was like, no, it's fine, he's definitely going to be coming back, he's definitely coming back. Like, I just kept on convincing myself that he was coming back, even though there was a lot of rumours, and he's gone, and I'm not okay. Like, I'm smiling through the pain. I'm literally smiling through the pain right now because I loved him so much as the Doctor. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, to quote 9 there, but to quote 9, I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and the fact that he's now gone has just shattered my heart into pieces. I won't lie, I cried for about an hour last night. Like, I was sobbing. Like, I was gone from the second they mentioned the regeneration energy, and then I saw it, and I was gone, and then I went through the 5 stages of grief last night. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm very excited to see Billie Piper, and I've got theories about that I'll talk about more on TikTok, because that is where I talk about Doctor Who and all of my theories and everything I've noticed there and everything else. That's all on TikTok, which is linked down below if you want to check that out if you are a fan of Doctor Who. And I am very excited to see Billie Piper. I'm definitely convinced that something is going on here, and I am sort of convincing myself that he's going to come back. I won't lie, I am kind of convincing myself that he's going to somehow come back, and that Billie Piper's is here in some kind of looking into the heart of the TARDIS bad wolf kind of thing, and then Ncuti's going to come back again. But I mean, that's not going to happen, but that is literally where my brain is, because I'm in denial at the moment. I said I was in the 5 stages of grief, and I speed read them last night. I did not speed run them last night. I am definitely still in denial. I'm in the denial phase, but there we go. I'm still absolutely emotionally devastated. But what I did manage to do yesterday, after I finished all my bullet journal and everything, was finish Dreadful by Caitlin Rosakis. And I did finish this at about 1 o'clock in the morning, so it was technically the 1st of June, but I'm counting it as still being May because I hadn't gone to sleep yet. And if I haven't gone to sleep yet, it still counts as the previous month, in my mind anyway. But I did finish this book last night, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love what this one had to say about how we present ourselves and how we can sort of change ourselves to kind of sort of play on like people's assumptions and stuff to get ahead in life and things like this. I thought those conversations were absolutely done brilliantly throughout this book. This was also a little bit more sort of like a cozy fantasy in a way, which I did quite enjoy as well, because a lot of the books I've been reading have been not exactly heavy, but they've been very sort of plot involved and very sort of like delving into villainy and what it means to be a villain and all of this kind of thing. So this was a really nice kind of palate cleanser in the middle of those slightly sort of heavier books in that sense, and I really, really enjoyed this one, and I would definitely be checking out more books by Caitlin Rosakis because I really, really like this one. And now that means that the only book I have got left to read for this vlog is Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me, and this one is probably not going to get read or picked up for the next few days because I do need to finish writing my own book. So I'm going to go and carry on doing that for a bit, but I am so excited to read this one. Obviously, we know how much I loved How to Become the Dark Lord, and I am so excited to see how this is all going to end. So this is going to be my next one and my final one for this vlog, unless something else comes up. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't at the moment because I really want to get this vlog out, and also my memory cards are starting to really run out of space now. But anyway, very, very excited to continue on with this one and this series. I think it's going to be the next one I read. So for now, I'm going to carry on writing a book, and then I'm hopefully going to start this one soon, but we shall see. Okay, I'm going to put my hands up right now and say that it has been a solid maybe 2 weeks since I last filmed anything for this vlog, because I went away for a few days and filmed nothing. Even though I was hanging out with Hannah from Ladder M, I literally filmed nothing of that trip whatsoever. I also read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which probably could have gone in this vlog as well, but then just didn't vlog anything for it because I was just basically stuck into the story and didn't want to stop to comment on anything, to be honest. And then I also read as well Wish You Were Her by Elle McNichol, which is nothing to do with villains, to be honest, but this was coming out that week and I could not wait to read it, so I read that one as well. And in that time I have also not started Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me, so that is what we're going to be doing today to round out this vlog. At time of filming, I will say as well, we are entering into a heat wave in the UK at the moment, and I'm not looking forward to it because I don't do well in heat anyway. We are currently up to, I think, 27 degrees Celsius at the moment, and we don't have aircon, so I'm going to apologise right now if at any point in any of these future clips you can hear a fan going. It is going to be the only thing keeping me basically functioning at this point in this heat wave, because we're supposed to be getting up to something like 32 or something like that. So apologies if you can hear a fan going at any point in this last few clips. I don't have it on right now, but I will do probably later on. But anyway, let's get on with actually reading this book, because I am desperate to read this one. The first one was so good and I am so desperate to see how it all ends. So gonna get on with this one and tell you what I think about it as I'm reading. one thing I want to say first of all with this is that this actually opened with a previously on sort of little chapter wrap-up kind of thing of what happened in the last book, and I really appreciated that, because even though I had read the previous book literally like a month ago at this point, a lot of it had kind of left my head, so it was really nice to have that refresher, and I really wish more books did that, especially fantasy books, because there's so many like rules within like the magic and plot twists and who all of these characters are and everything else. I do really wish that more books did that, because I think that would be incredibly useful to have. But the thing I wanted to talk about specifically is a conversation between Darby and Zav, and I am going to talk a little bit about the plot here, so if you do not want to know anything about the plot twist in the last book or anything about this book, I will leave a timestamp here, so you can completely skip over this bit if you are planning on reading this book and you don't want spoilers. But if you're still here, I'm going to say you probably want to hear that, so I'm just going to give you the conversation. So, in the last book, Darby found a King James Bible in the congregation conclave type thing, and it's like, wait a minute, other humans from Earth seem to have been in this world at some point. And she's trying to explain to Zav exactly what that means and about Earth. And so Zav goes, so the Sky Father, that's Zeus with the lightning bolt. And Darby goes, yeah. And then Zav goes, and he sends his son Neo to Earth to die. Right. To make peace with the machines. I think so? Who are looking for John Connor? Yeah. Who exactly? I'm a little bit fuzzy on that bit. I think he's friends with Thor. What do the machines want with him? Search me, I never paid that much attention in church. And everyone on Earth believed this. Oh no, there were a lot of different versions. They used to fight all the time. Protestants versus Catholics, Marvel versus DC, Nintendo versus Sega, that sort of thing. What's a Sega? Also, not sure. Something about hedgehogs? I love that so much. Like, I am always a sucker for the, like, pop culture references in a book, but that is just, I'm not gonna lie, that just went through a lot of my childhood right there with Neo, also Terminator. I was a massive fan of Terminator when I was a kid, along with The Matrix. Obviously Thor, Marvel, massive nerd for that. Marvel versus DC, Nintendo versus Sega. I was a Nintendo kid. I did have the Nintendo DS and the Game Boy and all of the rest of it. Did also have the PSP as well, thinking about it, but do absolutely love that. And also, I'm a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog movies. I love the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. So that entire conversation on page 18 is literally my childhood in one great big go. And I absolutely love that. That is, like, I've laughed so many times already throughout this book with various, like, little Darby-isms where she's just sort of, like, made an offhanded comment or something like this in the footnotes or something. And I just keep on laughing throughout this book. It is so funny, and I am really, really enjoying this one once again. I am loving all of those conversations, and obviously those, like, little offhanded, like, little comments and things, and just the general humour of this is really, really working for me. So I am really enjoying this once again. One thing I'm also really enjoying about this one specifically is the fact that Darby is on the back foot in this one, because obviously things have changed, and it means that obviously things have changed, and so the things she's expecting to happen aren't happening, and people are in different positions and things like this. So it's really fun to see her on the back foot and to see her sort of going, well, what do I do now, and having to think on her feet. I'm really, really enjoying that. But one thing I also want to quickly mention as well is the fact that she's had to go to the library, and they've got these massive, like, rolling ladders, and one of the footnotes is, if you try to do the bell thing, what happens is you just reach the end, the crescendo of provincial life. The ladder hits the end of its track and whips you off. You slam into the opposite bookshelf, break your neck, and then hit the marble floor, and then about 10 ton of books topple over and bury you. Ask me how I know. I love that line so much. That is brilliant. One, because it's a Beauty and the Beast reference, and I love a Beauty and the Beast reference. Two, because I still really want to do that at some point. My life will not be complete until I've been on a rolling bookcase and done the provincial life bit. Obviously not the rest of that, where, like, slamming into the other, like, bookcase and all the rest of it, but I would still, my life is not going to be complete until I can do the big rolling ladder thing, to say the least. But then also a whole, like, slamming into the other one and everything else is just so unbelievably Darby. I love that. I just love that line so much. I love the humour of this one. I keep on saying it all of the time, but I genuinely love the humour of this one. I think it is absolutely fantastic, and it really, really appeals to me on so many levels. And once again, this book is fantastic. It is absolutely living up to the first one, and I am loving it. One thing I'm also really loving about this is Darby's relationship with Johan, and, like, their little banter with each other, because they're looking for, like, a secret sort of passageway kind of thing, and he's saying, like Johan saying that it always disappointed him when he was a kid that there was no death traps or anything hidden in this secret bit, and Darby's like, right, at least some poison darts or a big rolling ball, show some effort. And I love that they've got this sort of similar wavelength to each other in that sense. I love that kind of thing so much whenever I'm reading, even when it's just friends or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call their relationship. I am just loving their banter so much throughout here, and I will say I do quite like Matthias as well. I won't say much about him or anything else because obviously spoilers, but I do really like Matthias as well, and obviously Zav. I really like Zav. Zav is so much fun. I really enjoy her scenes, especially when her and Darby are talking about their relationship and things like this. I really love those scenes. I'm really like loving all of these scenes, to be honest, and all of these characters. They are so lovable and so easy to fall in love with as well. I am just really liking this so much as I was the first time around with the first book. One thing I will say about Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except Me is that Darby isn't quite being the Dark Lord in this. She's still very much the Dark Lord, but she's kind of trying to sort of save everybody and keep peace going, essentially. And I'm not going to count that as spoilers because that is very much on the back cover of the book, essentially, but what I really like is that she still has these morally grey moments, and she's learning to very much see everyone around her as real people, because for the last 1,000 years and like 200 lifetimes or whatever it is, she has basically sort of seen everyone as sort of pawns in her game kind of thing, because obviously every single time she resets, everyone's back to life again, so anybody who dies just comes back again, and she's so used to thinking like that seeing her trying to figure out now how to deal with things without getting anybody killed, because she's now wondering if everybody is going to still survive or not, because she's having problems with like the resets and everything else, is really interesting, and I really like seeing her deal with that, and then also seeing her try to broker peace and all of this kind of thing. And while she's still being very sort of like morally grey in places, she is starting to act a little bit more heroic in a few cases and in sort of like a roundabout way, and I am really enjoying that about this book. I am loving seeing her sort of still be herself and still very much like try anything, even if it means lying and bending the truth and everything else to get what she wants, while also still trying to be a slightly more sort of caring person, I guess you could put it that way. It's sort of like a caring person, but she didn't really care, but sort of like a little bit more, should we say, conscious of life. Put it that way. I'll put it that way, that she's a little bit more conscious of life this time, and I am really enjoying that kind of juxtaposition of her character. She's just mentioned the YMCA, and I particularly love the YMCA because it's a very big thing for McFly fans like I am, because, and this is gonna not talk about villains for a second here, but because they mentioned the YMCA, I'm going to mention it, and it's my vlog, so I'm going to do it. But before every single McFly show, it doesn't matter if they're playing a summer show, or if they're on tour, or doing a one-off show at the O2, or whatever else it is, every time before they come on stage, the final song on the playlist before they walk out is the YMCA. So at this point, I have been basically Pavloved. So whenever I hear the YMCA, I basically go, it's about to start. I could be sitting here in my front room, hear the YMCA, and I am immediately transported to an arena somewhere, and like McFly is about to come on. I could literally be sat here, right, like no gig at all planned or anything else, but I will hear that music and I immediately go into gig mode. It's unbelievable. They have Pavloved me in the last 17 years with this, like unbelievably just Pavloved me like that. And the fact that it's now been mentioned in this book has just Pavloved me again. I'm that bad with the YMCA at this point. I just have to hear or like read out YMCA and the Village People, and then the song is in my brain and I am in geek mode. So that's just happened to me, and I just wanted to point it out because I mean I will always mention like the YMCA whenever, because it's one of my favourite little McFly traditions essentially, and I love talking about McFly. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention that because I'm a fangirl at heart and I just really had to. And with that, I've now finished Everyone Wants to Rule the World Except Me by Django Wexler, and I'm giving it 5 stars. I admittedly did not talk about this one as much as I did the previous books, just because this one isn't really as much about villainy, and I wanted this vlog to be about villainy, so I didn't really sort of update you as much as I wanted to or was planning to, just because this one didn't fit the theme as well as How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, but it is still absolutely worth the read. I really love how this wrapped everything up. I love how this all came together. I love the plot twist of this one. one, and I thought it was a fantastic conclusion. It was just as funny as the first one, and I really enjoyed myself once again, hence why it got 5 stars. And that is now absolutely everything I was going to be reading for this reading vlog, and I have enjoyed all of these books so much. Obviously the standouts are going to be How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, and Everyone Wants to Rule the World Except Me, but all of these books were absolutely fantastic. So if you are someone who wants to read a book about villainy but you're not entirely sure which ones to go for, if you want something that is very funny in a lot of ways, it's got a lot of footnotes, very much like Terry Pratchett, and you want something that feels a little bit unserious in a lot of ways, I definitely recommend the Dark Lord Darby series by Django Wexler. If you want something that's a little bit more cozy while also exploring themes of how we present ourselves to the world to get ahead and this kind of thing, definitely Dreadful by Caitlin Rosakis. If you want something that is based more in our world and talking about villainy in our world while also being a little bit satirical and a little bit ridiculous, then definitely Starter Villain by John Scalzi. And finally, if you are someone who just wants a book where absolutely everybody in it is very morally grey and trying to get ahead in their own ways and serving their own agendas, definitely check out Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. And that is where I'm going to leave this video because it's getting rather hot in here, my brain is melting, and I need to get on with editing this video, which is probably going to take me a really long time to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me your favourite villain book, I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a skull emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to my Etsy store that sells bookish merch if you want to treat yourself to something bookish today. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!